All right. Day number three. How are you guys doing? I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for joining me again. Apologies in advance. Still not so good as talking to the camera, so I will be looking down on my notes, but I'm sure I'm gonna get better with time. End of the day, the whole point of this is to get better and improve, so we'll get there together. So forgive me for not looking you in the eye so much at the beginning. So lots of interesting things happening since I've started this project with you guys. Um, so I'll just get straight into what those interesting things are. So yesterday I wrote a mini script to help me with the video. The first day I just sort of just winged it, but it's good to have a script and at least some bullet points to give you an idea of what you're going to be speaking about. So today, when I was doing my reading, I decided to also take some notes as I was doing my reading, and it's quite amazing to see how much comes out of your mind onto the page when the sort of doors of creativity have been swung open. So this really made me realize that this process of video editing, this video journaling and focusing time, um, it's something bigger than I really thought it was going to be. What I'm really forming here is, I guess, what you'd call a keystone habit. So a keystone habit is a habit which spills over into other areas of your life in a positive way. So the classic one is exercise. So when you start developing a habit of exercising regularly, you will find yourself having an inclination to eat more healthily, your sleep's going to improve, and those other habits that are formed around because of exercise start compounding on each other and snowballing and creating this positive feedback loop that's really helpful for your life. So that's kind of what's happening here. If you look up keystone habit, exercise is always mentioned, but journaling is another keystone habit that's often mentioned. There's a lot of research that has gone into the benefits of journaling for mental health in particular. And I think what we're doing here is actually a supercharged version of journaling for a couple of reasons. So the first one, the fact that you need to, if you think about it when you're just journaling, you just write, you just write or type your thoughts down. You close the book, put it away, um, and that's that. Whereas what I'm doing here is I need to get my thoughts down on paper, but then there's an extra stage of refinement where I need to refine those thoughts into a script to communicate those ideas with you guys. Moreover, it's the audio visual medium of this video um, changes the dynamic of things because it makes my thoughts and ideas a lot more exposed because it's also public. So a journal, there's a classic thing that your journal will have a padlock because it's your private journal, your own intimate thoughts that are not to be shared with anyone. But really, that's kind of cowardly, if you're really confident about your thoughts and ideas and you're honest, if you're an honest person, you should be willing to just share those ideas out with people because, who knows who would benefit from that. It's kind of selfish to actually keep those ideas all to yourself. I think, but I could be wrong here. But ultimately, I think this video journal takes you out of your comfort zone a lot more than just the regular journaling. And things that take you out of your comfort zone are typically things which are good for you. At least I find, and areas that you should lean onto. So yeah, it's only been 3 days, but I'm already kind of feeling the effects of this spillover keystone habit effect in my life. So this process here, like I said earlier, it's really just it feels like it's the doors of creativity have been swung open, and I've never had a creative outlet before, to be honest. I've always been very afraid of doing something like this, but now that I'm doing it again, leaning into things that make you uncomfortable, I'm really enjoying it, and I'm finding that this it's fueling this fire of creativity and ideas, confidence and inspiration, and I can just feel that snowball gaining momentum inside of me, and it feels great. So thank you. Um, Yeah, so today, I mean, most of my time was really spent just writing. I just read a couple of articles, but that alone was enough to stimulate a lot of thought. And if I wasn't doing this project, maybe I would have just passively read some articles, and I would have had ideas, but those ideas would have never have gone on the page, and I wouldn't have written them and followed that thread, and developed those ideas. Whereas because I knew I was going to be talking to you, I had this incentive to get the ideas, my thoughts down on paper as soon as they came up, and again develop on them as well. Uh, and if I wasn't have doing this project, those ideas would have just vanished in the wind and completely forgotten. So again, it's really valuable having this creative outlet to hone and develop original thought and ideas. So, what are some of those other thoughts that I had besides the ones that I've just articulated? So, a pedestrian one is just to have a plan about what you're going to read in advance. So, today, the 30 half hour came along. I wasn't sure what I wanted to read, so I just kind of went on a whim and just sort of figured out as I went. It would have been a lot more productive if I had an idea of what subject I wanted to read about beforehand. Um, Another interesting thought was the importance of record keeping in your personal life. So as you know, I'll show in a little bit, but we have a Google sheet where I'm tracking how much time I've spent focusing, which day, and what I've been reading or doing. And yeah, let me give you an example here. So if I was to ask you what happened 15 weeks ago or 17 weeks ago, I think most people would find it very difficult to remember what happened, and they would have also have struggled to remember how they felt and what they were thinking during that time. And that's just because our minds are fickle. And in the same way that if you don't write your ideas down, like I was talking about earlier, when you don't keep a record of what's been going on in your life, your own memories can fade away as well, unfortunately. And it can lead up to when you might end up getting old and feeling like you never really had a chance to live, or that you never lived your life, when in fact you did. You just don't really remember it. But when you start keeping a record of it, I think you start living more, because you have this appreciation for how far along the road you're going, and it gives you optimism about what's ahead at the same time. And that's what I'm feeling by just keeping this record here. One point that really brought this home was a friend of mine a couple of years ago. She used an app to record. She would record, I think, 2 seconds every day, and she did that for a whole year. And the app gave her a video of the 2 second daily videos that she created into one yearly video. And I watched it back with her, and it was very cool because I was in some of those videos, and those were days that I would have completely forgotten about. But just seeing a 2 second clip of that day was enough to bring a flood of memories and thoughts back into my mind. So yeah, interesting thought. And the last one was just the value of writing. Writing is focused work, and today I didn't really expect for me to do any writing, so it was very cool to see that organically develop. And writing is very difficult from just regular note taking, because it's your own original thought, your own ideas that you're developing, and it's unique to you, and it gives you that sense of fulfillment in the fact that you start to see that your ideas are worthwhile, um, they are valuable, and you should be confident in them, and you should be building upon them as well. So very cool. So let me just show you the Google Sheet before we finish here today. So here we are, day number 3, just an extra minute, but yeah, we're getting there, making some progress. And I just read some articles about YouTube SEO, Keystone Habits, Kaizen, and then like I said, I spent most of my time writing today. So yeah, very cool day, and looking forward for what's ahead, guys. So thanks for tuning in, and see you tomorrow, buddies.